Hey there, creepy peeps. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're returning, and welcome back to Book Week here on my 31 Days of Horrorween series. If you didn't know already, what rock have you been living under? That sounded so conceited. I'm posting a video every single day of this month because it's the spookiest of all seasons. So if you aren't subscribed yet, maybe? Before we get into this, I'm sure to be awesome video, I want to thank my creepy patron peeps for supporting my channel. Thank you guys so much. If you want to find out the perks to being a creepy patron peep, you can follow that link in the description. So I've done this type of video 2 times before. I'll link them up at the top here in just a second, where I recommend some horror books to you guys based on your favorite movies. Horror movies, obviously. So I'm going to do that same idea, only slightly different, because it's 2020 and 2020 has probably been one of the suckiest years on record. What feels like the cherry on top, you know, just the kick when you're already down, is that so many of the horror movies that a lot of us were really anticipating this year got pushed back. And I know we all understand why that had to happen, but it's still sucky nonetheless. And it's okay to be a little sad about it for, you know, for like a minute or two, or for the length of this video. So because a lot of our most anticipateds got pushed back to 2021, I thought I would maybe try and help you guys out by giving you something to read to kind of pass the time until 2021 rolls around and we finally get to see these movies. Really quick disclaimer though, I obviously haven't seen any of these movies because they've not been released to the public yet. So I'm doing these recommendations based off of the summaries I've read online and the trailers for these movies. So when you actually see the movie, it may not be that accurate of a recommendation, but this is just all in good fun. So first up, if you, like me, were really excited to see Saint Maud, I think you should read The Devil Aspect by Craig Russell. The Devil Aspect follows a psychiatrist working in an asylum in Prague, which is home to 6 of the most infamous killers in the country. Meanwhile, someone is committing similar murders in the city, and a detective needs the help of the asylum's inmates to catch them. There are a lot of dark topics, especially concerning like religious ideology in this book, which I think kind of goes really well with what I think Saint Maud is going to be about. Meant to follow a reclusive nun who feels a compulsive need to save the soul of the woman she's taking care of. Partially listen to the audiobook of The Devil Aspect, which for any of you out there that are big fans of audiobooks, I highly recommend this one. The voice actor did amazing, especially with all the different accents, and it really helps with the pronunciations of some of the like more complicated names and places in the book. This also has a super gothic feel to it, which I think is very appropriate for Halloween season. There's also a little bit of a historical fiction aspect to it given the setting of the book, which is right before World War II starts in Europe. And as of right now, I can't find any info as to when Saint Maud is going to be widely released, at least in the United States. So if you were somebody who was really excited for Spiral, what will be latest installment in the Saw franchise, you should read Broken Monsters by Lauren Beukes. Broken Monsters follows Detective Gabriella Versado, who is investigating a horrific series of murders in which the corpses are being displayed in terrifying ways. Without giving too much away, the killer in the book is purposefully displaying their victims in such a way as to convey meaning and to be like a horrific like art exhibit of sorts. And there's this whole like underlying storyline of like the art scene in the city that this book is set in, like paired with the killer. So that instantly made me think of Jigsaw, who I think thinks of himself as an artist in a way, creating these elaborate traps to teach his victims about how precious their lives are. Spiral specifically, though, follows brash detective Zeke Banks and his rookie partner, who take charge of a grisly investigation into murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly trapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game. Spiral is now set to release May 21st of 2021, so you have plenty of time to read Broken Monsters before then. The audiobook for which is also very good. There's multiple voice actors for this one, which I feel like just adds adds to the immersion. I don't know if a lot of you guys were excited for this one, but I certainly was. So if you were anticipating Last Night in Soho, you should read Kindred. Alternatively, if you saw Antebellum and were disappointed by it, you should also read Kindred. Hint to a video later this week. Kindred follows writer Dana, an African-American woman who finds herself repeatedly sent back in time to a pre-Civil War plantation in Maryland. Dana has to figure out why she keeps being brought back there before she's unable to return to her time. So there isn't much info about Last Night in Soho yet, but we do know it's going to follow a young wannabe fashion designer who mysteriously enters the 1960s to encounter her idol. So my brain said, ooh, time travel. Similar. Kindred definitely has that bit of a sci-fi twist, which it seems like Last Night in Soho is also going to have. I feel like time travel is inherently kind of sci-fi. And Last Night in Soho is set to release on April 23rd, 2021. So you got plenty of time to check out Kindred. So Candyman was the most recent horror release that just got announced that it's being pushed back. And I know a lot of us were really upset. Again, we understand why, but it's just kind of sucky. So if you were really anticipating the remake of Candyman, I actually have two suggestions for you. The first is The Changeling by Victor LaValle, which follows a man trying to find his wife and child after she does the unthinkable. It's a terrifying take on the Changeling folklore, but it's also expertly written. Every so often, in the book, LaValle peels back another layer to the story that it's like you think you have an understanding of what's going on, and then something else is revealed and it turns out you had no idea what's going on. This happens multiple times and that sounds kind of annoying, but the way it's written is actually so good. It's very well paced as well. This is one of my absolute favorites, if not the most favorite book I read this year. The folklore aspect really makes me think of Candyman. Not as much of a horror book, but also quite terrifying, is The Axeman's Jazz by Ray Celestin, which is a historical fiction crime novel centered around the Axeman of New Orleans. Even though this is more of a true crime spin, I feel like there's still kind of like a folklore kind of legend feel to it because the Axeman of New Orleans is such a popular story that I feel like it reminds me a little bit of Candyman. Especially because the real identity of the Axeman has never been discovered. Because Candyman has just now been delayed, there's no new release date yet. We just know it's going to be 2021. And finally, I know so many of you guys were looking forward to Antlers. So you obviously need to read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, which follows 4 men who are haunted emotionally by something horrible they did in their past, but now that past is coming back literally to seek revenge. So as you can tell by the cover, this story has something to do with an elk with the antlers, and my brain said antlers, antlers, antlers. But I also do kind of think they're related. In Antlers, a small Oregon town is haunted by a mysterious creature that has escaped and wreaking havoc. I feel like both kind of have a creature feature like kind of feel to it. I don't know how literal that's going to be in Antlers. This one maybe is a little bit more figurative. There is a creature in it, literally, but they both kind of feel like they have a folklore twist to them also. There's something kind of classic feeling about them. And if you want a little bit of extra credit, Antlers is also based on its own short story, The Quiet Boy by Nick Antosca. Hopefully I said that right. And it is set for release now, February 19th of 2021. Of course, if any of you have any horror book recommendations that you want to share, let us know in the comments so we can all add to our already overwhelming TBR list. But you know we're going to add them anyway. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I gave you guys some inspiration on some stuff to keep your brains occupied while we have to wait a little bit longer for these movies. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow with another new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.